Leo Jacob, welcome to An Actor Despairs, aka Pope of the Bowery. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Dude.
An honor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, man. It's a real honor to have you on.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
following your Instagram account for some
yeah,
time, man, and you, I mean, you're a photographer and many other things, and it's so cool what I think you're doing, with regards to hospitality as well as to just documenting everything that's New York is, and
yeah.
I mean, any real New Yorker knows not just the history of the Hotel of the Bowery, but the Bowery. It's just, I mean, gangs in New York. It's just
Yeah.
it goes back. So the Bowery Boys, it's such a
It's a
fraught
part of New
rock
York.
and
There's
roll
no doubt about
history.
it. Yeah,
But
yeah. It's a part of New York. So,
yeah, man, and
yeah.
and your images are incredible, man. You have a real eye, and it's so awesome to have you on. I'm so grateful,
Thank you.
dude.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's funny the images. I was I don't know, a photographer. I mean per se, which is an expression I hate using. I hate
Yeah.
saying per se, but I'm saying it. Years ago, I mean, we're talking about 14, 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, I did like candid wedding photography.
No way.
Yeah, I would like dress up in a tuxedo and just like go to a wedding or a bar mitzvah or whatever and just shoot candids and then just, edit them. And I realized it was just a wildly unsuccessful. I mean, like it was a financially looming project to do because you get
Yeah.
paid to show up to a wedding or whatever. And it's like great, but then you have to edit pictures. And it's not like editing pictures like you do for fun. It's like, I want black and white, but the flowers to be red. And this is before all the filters. So you had to like manually do it in
Oh, with
Photoshop.
like a with a pen or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
So no,
amazing.
with a mouse. I didn't
Oh
even
my
have a pen
God.
then. So it's like I gave up on it. I was like, it's just way too expensive. It's not worth the time. And at the time for me, at least then. And then years later, I'm at the Bowery and I started this relationship with Leica. It was introduced to me by an actor that stays at the hotel, and he put us together, and it's been working out. I mean, the Leica thing actually, it's strange. I didn't create the partnership with us for the purpose of using them to take pictures. It was for
Oh,
guests. Yeah, no,
wow.
the whole Leica thing happened was I was giving it to a lot of actors and musicians and creatives that stay at the hotel when a lot of the times they essentially are displaced from their home and from their
Yeah.
creativity. It's like, hey man, here's this camera, or why don't you bang around on this, keep the SD card, and just sort of in the know, I suppose. It's something we advertise, and
Yeah.
it's just a
Didn't
relationship
one
that I
actor make
manage.
a short film while he was there?
Maybe it's possible. I think some people have definitely tried to do some stuff. I don't know if they use the Leica. I know I just saw something come out the other day where you get Bowery alerts, obviously anything that's
Oh,
filmed in the
no way.
hotel. And I watched this thing and I was just like, this is unauthorized. Like we don't allow filming in the hotel, obviously.
Yeah.
I think we did one. No, we did a Woody Allen movie, the most
No
recent
way.
one. Yeah, and it was
Wow.
awesome. I saw the movie; it was great. But that's the one with the Liev Schreiber and Tip
Yeah.
Chalamet, and they
Yeah.
shot in the
Selena
event space.
Gomez. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
was cool. But
That's
yeah, so
awesome.
the photography thing really just kicked up, and it started really with COVID, with the pandemic, and it's been a whirlwind. I mean, I think I know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and the images they're coming out a certain way, and I like them, and it's challenging though. I mean, I'm learning all over again. I got one of these Wacom tablets with the pen and the
Oh,
editing, and
wow. I love that,
I have
man.
no idea how to even use it yet.
Well,
But
brother, if it's cool with you, before we dig
yeah,
into the work, let's start from the
sure,
very beginning. Where did you grow
yeah.
up?
So I came to this country in 1990 as an immigrant from what was then the Soviet Union.
Okay.
So I came from what the today's just commonly very well recognized as just Uzbekistan.
Okay.
But I grew up there. We came here when I was 1990. I was 5 years old. Moved to Forest Hills. So I was a Forest Hills kid
Oh, so you came
in
straight to New
Queens,
York.
straight
Wow.
to New York. To the five boroughs, and moved to Forest Hills, Rego Park, and grew up there. That was home for a long time. For a
Yeah.
long time. Yeah.
Was I mean, Forest Hills now is really nice. Was it
Yeah.
then,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Forest Hills
yeah.
was, yeah, it was nice. I mean, it was
Yeah.
definitely a cultural hub for people that migrated from that region. but it had its own population. I mean, Forest Hills was like a big thing, and I think it was in the late '70s, early '80s. A lot of migration started coming there from even just the city. So it's a melting pot. It's a melting pot. It's like a little community where you just have a lot of different cultures and cuisines, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Yeah,
What
definitely
was
definitely changing now. It's like a Shake Shack everywhere, and it's
Yeah, I
definitely
know. I
become more
went to
mainstream. Yeah.
see the Arctic Monkeys.
Mm.
It's so different now, but
Yeah,
it's
Forest Hill Stadium. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So tell me, man,
Yeah.
what were the parents' dream when they brought you here? Did they have one, or did they just have to get out of the Soviet Union?
Well, my mom came here with my sister. It was just the two of us, and then my mom. So my mom brought us here basically with like it was like 7 pieces of luggage, and my sister and me, and she's older than me. And we came to JFK Airport, and that was it. We came here for a certain better life, I guess is the cliche, but the reality is, where we were growing up. I mean, there was some persecution
Yeah.
towards the Jewish community, and there was definitely a want to avoid that risk if I was a parent. And with the Soviet Union collapsing, a lot of people that were trapped were not able to leave.
Hmm.
And they once it collapsed and sort of regulations and eased up, people were just like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah.
And they basically left and they went to like I think Forest Hills, Minnesota, and I think Australia.
Oh,
That's
there
where
were
the
like
big
three hubs.
no, those like the Russian,
Yeah.
the sort of Uzbekistan Russian Jewish community went from
Yeah.
there to those three places.
That's amazing.
I don't know, but so we came here, and there's a big community here in Queens still that comes from that region, and it's nice because there's a lot of support there, especially when you're coming here with nothing.
I
You
was
know,
gonna say, was that a tough transition for you as a young kid?
we certainly grew up. Um, we started with nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really it. We started with I had some family here, and they gave us a little bit of support. And my mom just grinded it out. I mean, she came here and she learned a new language, and we lived in a basement in the beginning, and then we got into an apartment, and then it was really just a struggle. I mean, we learned the value of a dollar and hard
Yeah.
work. Uh, but there was no real sort of motherly, I think, specific aspiration, except for just the fact that we could find some sort of success and happiness
Yeah.
and health, and not worry about things. And so I think that was a big part of it. But there's always been a push towards creativity, if there could be. But
Talk to me
like
about
any
that.
like any Jewish mother, I should have been a lawyer or an
Yeah.
accountant. I mean, that was a given.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
But eventually I got out of that, and and I sort of found my own way. I jumped around from career to career, just sort of like every job I had was somebody else's career for like 20 years.
Got it.
And I sort of went from like I worked at Smash Music for 2.5 years, and then from there I went to the automotive industry. Then I got into banking. Then I got back into
Wow.
this, and then eventually, when I was about 25, 26, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. And I got into hospitality, which was hard to break through. It was hard
Yeah.
to break
It's
through.
so hard to break through, especially to
Yeah,
everyone listening out there.
yeah,
It's
it's hard.
we're recording this obviously right
Yeah,
now in the February, which is a tough, 1 year of the
yeah,
pandemic, and we were just speaking before. We don't know what
yeah,
this is going to really look
yeah,
like, and so talk to me. A lot of people, it's hospitality is such an interesting field in some
yeah,
ways because so many people who don't want to be in it end up in it, and then so many people who want to be in it end up in it,
yeah,
and that's really like the only job I feel like that you have so many different people that are in it for so many different reasons,
yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 11 years now, I think. Yeah. Shit. Wow. Yeah. I think 10 years maybe. And from the amount of people that I've met in the industry, you know, uh, I met everybody. I met everybody. Everybody
Yeah,
in there for the
sure.
right reason, for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
People who are just looking to excel. People who are looking to just get by. People who are artists. People who are creative. People who are just like they work, they get an audition, they quit, they go, they get another job, they get an
Yeah.
audition, they quit. So there's a lot of it's a very what's the word I'm looking for? It's an open door industry in a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. It's
Revolving
very
door.
it's very transient. There's a
Yeah.
lot of tourists in the industry. Not to make a pun out of it, but like for example, I got into the hotel industry by not sheer luck, but I guess luck is a big part of it. But it came down from just starting a relationship with this, with the group at the Gansevoort. You know, when
Okay. Yeah, they were
like
huge.
I was in the food and beverage department when I opened that hotel, and I made friends with the front desk staff, which is a different entity.
Yeah.
And it was only because I just sort of worked on my interpersonal skills, I suppose, to sort of create bonds with people. And I ended up leaving, and then that person ended up going to the Dream Hotel, and then she called me and says, "Hey, do you want to make zero money and but get into the hotel industry on the hotel side?" And I was like, "Yeah." And ever since then, I got into the industry. I started the Dream Downtown and
Wow.
just worked my way up. Sacrificed a lot of my personal life.
I'm sure, man. I know how
Um,
those hours are.
you know, a lot of cheese doodles and Dr. Pepper was part of my diet. There was no money living in the city and making no money essentially at that time.
Yeah.
And just grinding it out. I mean, you know, sort of moving sort of, it's not a corporate ladder in the hotel industry. A lot
Yeah.
of it is really just about, you know, the best advice that was given to me was, you know, do the work first and the money will come. If you want to get promoted to the next job, the person who's in charge, just show them that you can do that work.
Yeah. Do it well.
And that way, when you ask for it, they're going to be like, all right, you're already doing it, you
Yeah.
know, and you've seen success. And so that's sort of been my motto in working. But, you know, I think with the hotel industry, it's, you know, hotel hospitality, it's a little bit different. Restaurants and hotels, sort of different ethos
Yeah.
and work ethics, I suppose. But I think to anybody like right now who in February is like, man, I need to figure out what to do. I think staying busy is important, but also stay in touch. I mean, keep in touch with the people who are in that industry and just
Yeah.
talk to them because once things rebound, it's going to be like a bat out of hell.
I'm
I mean,
sure. I've
the
no
amount of
doubt.
people that work in the hotel and the restaurant industry that have left New York, moved out of state at this point,
Yeah.
is paramount. And the amount of them that have become real estate agents in the past uh, 6 months is insane. I mean,
Wow.
everyone that I mean, so many people I know that went from hotels have gone to real estate
Yeah.
because it's the most logical step they can do. Um, but you know, you got to just have faith and keep working at it. Just be
I'm
in touch
curious,
with people. Yeah,
because obviously, like, we're New Yorkers, so
yeah,
forgive me, audience, if you're not
yeah,
following some of the names I'm gonna
yeah,
drop here. But for those, I'm an actor, so obviously I've
yeah.
spent my time in hospitality, and before that, I was a douchebag promoter at all the New York spots, and I'm sober. I'm sober 4 years now,
All
so
right.
man, I'm curious when you switched from food and beverage into
Yeah,
hotel, was there, I ask actors this all the time,
yeah.
was there like I want to go the Ian Schrager path, I want to go the Abby Rosen path, I want to, was there, Andre, always fuck up his last name. Yeah,
Balaz.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Was that even something that was like in the forefront of your mind, or were you
What
just
was
eager for a job?
what was in the forefront of my mind at that time was to know the job I don't want. You
Yeah.
know, I started as a reservations agent, making I think it was like $18 an hour when I was
Wow.
26 years old. So yeah, 10 years ago, whatever it is. And you know, I started from there and then worked at it. Went up to like a coordinator role in the sales department, then a junior sales manager, then a sales manager, then corporate sales, and then eventually one day entertainment, and then became a director, what they call an executive in the hotel industry. And but the thing for me was you have your lifestyle hotels, you have your party hotels, and then you have your corporate hotels, and then you have your brand hotels like Hyatt, the Hiltons, right?
So
So to answer your question, I found out that I succeed best and I work best in an independent owner boutique environment.
like a
Meaning,
nerdcon kind of way,
well,
or
yeah. So Nurs, you know, Nurs worked with a lot of them and has been a partner in a lot of establishments and owned his own. But
yeah,
when I say that, I mean like, you know, you have your Intercontinental Hotel Group, right?
got it.
Working for one of those hotels versus working for, like at the Bowery, I'm working for Richard Bourne, you know, Sean McPherson, Eric Good. I mean, like, and Ira Drucker. I mean, these are independent owners. They're
Yeah.
not a force. They're not a corporation. And when you do that, you have a very different way of doing business. So to answer your question, as I moved up and changed hotels, I found that what I'm looking for is a hotel company that runs really independently and really values the opinions of the staff, including their salespeople or your general
Yeah.
manager, and they have input. So I found that once you move towards a more boutique side, you have a lot more freedom and
Yeah.
creativity, to change the narrative or change the conversation or the strategy or the relationships you want to have on a corporate level or how you want to brand or market the hotel. When you work in a big box hotel brand, your ideas, they are listened to, but
They go to
you're
the
not,
wayside because they got a,
you're not
owners
some
meeting.
executive
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like, no, we're not doing that. And so you don't really have a chance to really be creative or sort of change the narrative or think out the box,
Yeah.
as opposed to in these independent boutique hotels, which could be, a 30 room property versus a 135 room property. But when you're an independent, like you interact with the owner.
Yeah.
You're not interacting with like 14 bosses ahead of you who micromanage you. So that to me was important. I didn't find that until I really moved around a little bit. And some people blossom really well in structure, like really corporate structure. I don't.
Yeah. Me
Uh,
either. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would not survive in that world very
That,
long. Yeah,
that's
there's
so
no way.
cool, man. So then,
Yeah,
as you built your way up in the
yeah.
dream, was there a few more steps in between Bowery, or was Bowery post dream?
So I left the dream, went to another hotel. I'm not going to name it necessarily. You can just look it up and find it. Didn't work out very well there. I did
Yeah.
spend some time at the Soho Grand, which was a good experience. And from there, I basically got an opportunity to become like my own, what you call director of sales and marketing, and lead a team of 9 or 10 people. And I had an opportunity to do that, and I went to go do that, and that did not work out. I ended up getting uh, parting ways with that company 6 months later.
Okay.
And then from there, I went back to the dream for a little bit. And ultimately, I left that company, and just took some time off. I took about 8 weeks off to sort of just reestablish what I want as a human being. I mean, when you work in these companies, travel is really sexy. It's like, oh, I travel and all this, and it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But you're gone 20 weeks a year sometimes cumulatively, and that changes your life. I mean, it
Yeah.
changes the way you meet people. It changes a lot, and you sacrifice some of your personal life for it. So I sort of just took a step back and said to myself, you know what? I'm sort of done doing this corporate hotel world thing. As a matter of fact, I think I'm done with the industry.
Yeah.
And I started talking to another company, and they're no longer operating in New York City for that specific location, but it was the Ryman Hospitality Group. They were doing the man, it escapes my head right now. What is it? The Ryman is the uh,
Jimmy
Grand Ole
the.
Opry. Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So they were opening up City Stage in Times Square. And I was talking to the ownership and the management company about segueing and transitioning into that industry. And ultimately, it was going to go in that direction. Then the Barry and me sort of aligned. I applied to the job. It was confidential, but there were some people involved. And I sort of knew it was the Barry because of the description.
Yeah.
And I knew somebody that put in a really good word for me. I ended up having the interview, and it was sort of like when I sat there and they're like, "So what would you change at this hotel?" And I was like, "Nothing. I don't want to change it.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
one
It
of the best
worked
hotels
so
in New York City." I was
great.
like,
Yeah.
"I just don't want to
Yeah.
fuck it up." I mean,
Yeah.
so that was, I think, exactly what I said to one of the owners when we discussed it, and also, ultimately, I was just like, I just want to be a part of this and make it maybe fine tune some things,
Yeah.
but I don't want to integrate what I've learned and make this a corporate hotel. It's not what we do here. But I found that once I started working for the company, it was good. It was a really good symbiotic sort of management style with the general manager and the ownership. And I don't know, it's a really rewarding place to work. And I've been there for almost 4 years, I think,
Wow.
coming this June or July.
Congratulations,
And
man.
it's I couldn't be happier. People always like, You know, I get recruiters calling me once in a while, and they're like, "Well, we can offer you this." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm happy." Like
Yeah.
they're like, "We'll give you more money." I was like, "Yeah, but that means more trouble." You know, the more
Yeah,
you
I
get,
don't need that extra zero because I'm
the
happy.
more the more you get paid is sometimes, you know, they pay you that much um, for your time,
Yeah.
not necessarily for any other reason except for the fact they want to call on you at, you know, 8 p.m. on a Sunday and say, "Hey, email me your spreadsheet about some nonsense." You know,
Yeah.
so for me, it really is about happiness. And when I started working at the Bowery, it's sort of, I mean, not only aesthetically is it very much me, but I sort of blossomed there. I sort of integrated my what I've learned and also my my sort of style of talking to people together, and you know, it's been working out really well.
Well, it's such a
So
family unit hotel, for those
yeah,
that are lucky enough to be in that. I mean, I feel like it's the closest thing we have to the Chateau Marmont, and I
yes, yeah,
personally, I personally think it's better,
yeah,
because it's so
yeah.
unique and it's hard to
It's
get.
it's it's similar. It's hard to get in ish. I mean, now it's very hard to get in because of COVID. You know, regarding like lobby spaces and stuff.
Yeah,
But you know, it's not inaccessible. People can go there.
especially to the bar
Yeah,
in the lobby.
yeah.
Yeah,
You don't. There's no greasing the wheels there. It's just really like, can we do it? You know, I mean,
yeah.
it gets really busy there sometimes, and obviously we prioritize for the hotel guests. But it's a really special place. I mean, I've had so many fond memories. A lot of the people that you've interviewed, I've met there,
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
you know,
Yeah,
and I can call some of them friends. You
yeah,
know, it's been a really rewarding place, but also a place that, you know, is still growing in its own
yeah.
way. You know, we've been going through this now. We closed March 16th, 18th, and you know, I stayed on with a couple of
During
the
the
other.
whole shutdown.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
some of the other top management team, I guess you can say the GM, myself, and a few others stayed on, all on essentially reduced salaries, and we were just managing the business end of it,
Yeah.
and also basically custodians as well of the building. But you know, I remember just sort of thinking like, oh, we're going to open in May. Nope. You know, nope. We wanted to open as soon as possible, every single moment we could,
Yeah.
but it just didn't feel right, and it wasn't really right until really like around September. And we've reopened, and it's been good. I mean, it's been good to rehire a lot of the staff that we had to let go, unfortunately, and it's been rewarding to see some of the faces come back. And you know, it's a struggle though because there's a lot of
Is my boy Rico
concerns.
still there?
Rico's there.
Oh, that's
Rico's
my
there.
boy.
Yeah, Rico's there. Funny enough, Rico and I ended up getting involved in some production for a movie as like a sort of like a
As
token of
one of his drag
appreciation.
queen characters, or
No, God, no, not his movie, but me and him were both part of a production that were staying in the hotel, and they were like, "Thank you for everything. Why don't you just come by and join this, and we'll give you some lines." And I was like, "All right."
That's awesome.
It didn't work out. I mean, I ended up going. It didn't work out because of it was a monsoon at the time, and I was going to Nashville, and I was like, I got to bounce. I have a work
Yeah.
trip, so I didn't come back. So they cut me that day, but I still got the credit. I think I got like a SAG letter in the mail, and I
Dude,
was
you're
like,
doing better than me. What the fuck, Leo?
I had some really good friends pissed off. They're like, I've been here for 7 years. I spent all
Yeah.
this money, and of course, you just get a SAG letter in the mail, you know, because you run a hotel or
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. You know, I
Yeah.
never went forward with that, obviously, but it was still a pretty cool experience to be on set and be in a trailer. I was like, this is dope.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was like, yeah, maybe I can be an actor. And I was like, I had this fantasy. I was like, maybe I can get killed by all my favorite actors in movies. Like,
Oh, that'd be
have
so
my
fun.
be shot to death by like Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves and John Wick 4.
Oh my, that hotel is so right. Is so right for John Wick. That's got to be the next project you let film
Yep.
there. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so
So,
cool. Well,
yeah,
I'm curious to talk to you, because
yeah,
I feel like as an outsider, forgive me if this sounds very amateur, but I feel like, as the 90s were, going on, it
yeah,
was a lot of those box hotels you were talking about.
yeah,
And then in the early 2000s, and even after the crash, the
yeah,
rise of boutique
yeah,
and cultivated experiences really became a phenomenon that
Yeah.
like, interested people that aren't just wealthier celebrities, but people who want a cultivated experience or curated
Yeah.
experience. I mean, and I'm curious to ask you, do you see that as something that's is growing, like it's something that these kind of hotels that are kind of the anti-box hotels in some ways are the future.
The anti hotel.
Yeah.
I think, I have, and just speaking as a person that is in the industry, not necessarily representing the Bowery Hotel. I mean, what I think about hotels is I believe a hotel should be a place that serves a purpose to a specific type of clientele,
Yeah.
and that clientele can sort of vary.
Yeah.
I think that if it was up to me, every hotel would be a little bit of a melting pot where you have a very mixed type of traveler together,
Yeah.
but the aesthetic, I believe, should always be unique. I think having a curated scent in the lobby, sure.
Yeah.
I find
Gramercy
it
Park
personally,
Hotel does. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of curated scents necessarily, but the lifestyle boutique feel, I think it works. But I don't think that necessarily they should turn into corporate hotels. I
Yeah.
think that if you're going to be a boutique independent lifestyle, shoot from the hip sort of rock star or sexy party, whatever your niche is, if you're going to
Yeah.
be that. Don't be that and then be like, let's sign IBM and get them as corporate travelers. I think
Yeah.
that if they come organically, so be it. But I don't think it should be made part of the business plan or the sales and marketing plan to negotiate corporate accounts into these lifestyle boutique hotels, because it's a clash of
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
When you're a seasoned traveler and you're staying all day long at box hotels like Hilton's or whatever, you have an expectation of a certain amenity or policy, and then
Yeah.
you walk into a boutique hotel where it's just like two people running the desk. You're like, hey, can I get this? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't
It's
have a
not how we
business
do that.
center.
Yeah.
We don't have a
Yeah.
business center,
Yeah. Yeah.
or you know, I think a lot of hotels they have an idea of being cool and edgy and this and that, and I think that it works. But I think what they do is they pull in this old strategy of trying to incorporate travelers on a pre-negotiated level as a part of their business plan, and those clash constantly.
Yeah.
I do believe, though, if you were to open up a hotel or manage a hotel, it's a boutique independent, just welcome everybody. If somebody wants to book and pay that rate, have fun.
Yeah.
Have the person who's decked out in John Barbados, and then the person who's wearing a Brooks Brothers suit at the bar,
Yeah.
and let them talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it should necessarily be forced upon them to have to sort of travel into that. That's sort of what I believe. Because I've been in those hotels. I've been in those hotels where it's like, this is what is happening here. Like, how did I walk into a everyone's wearing name tags and there's a conference happening,
Oh God.
but you've got a live band playing, and it's just like, what is happening? So I don't know. That's sort of my opinion on it. I do think that each of those hotels do serve a purpose, though. I think there's plenty of hotels, maybe not right now, but in general. So yeah.
And so then talk to me, man. What I can only imagine, because I think it was maybe one of the owners of Bowery, or I could be mistaking it for a different hotel, but who said that in last March, pre-predicted this, that 1 out of 5 hotels in New York would be lucky to survive the pandemic. And when you were working during the crazy times where it was shut down, what did it feel like to you? Were you at all concerned that because all these outside of New Yorkers call me all the time, and they're like, "What's it like living in New York, man? Everything's dead now. Everyone's gone. It's never coming back." And I'm like, "Fuck you." You know what I mean? And
that's in the New York hotels. I mean, we all basically know each other, right? And if we don't know each other, we know each other by association. So it's like, if I call any hotel, I'm like, "Hey, is the director of sales there?" They're like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "Director of sales of the Bowery." Like, "Sure, put you in touch." And then we'll just like shoot the shit and talk about what's going on. I mean, like, it wasn't a very competitive environment. Usually hotels, they keep everything pretty guarded from each other because there's they sort of compete against each other.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. I mean, at all. I mean, a lot of the hotels, I mean, like, we're calling the GMs and directors of sales and directors of housekeeping of other hotels. And like, what do you guys have in place? What are you using for cleaning protocols? What have you negotiated?
Oh,
what kind
it was really open dialogue.
Very open. Yeah.
That's
to this
so
day,
beautiful. Yeah.
Like, if I have a question, I can reach out to the GM of the Soho Grand, and, LCR, Lauren, she'll be like, oh yeah, we're doing this, that, whatever. I mean, this is what we're finding, and vice versa. They're like, hey, what are you doing with this department, or how are you handling this, or where are you sourcing your goods from? I mean, like, so because the supply chain has been so disrupted because of COVID, obviously, we're all sort of just supporting each other. I mean, nobody is right now trying to make money. Everyone's just trying to lose less money.
Yeah.
It's just about operating sort of on a smaller net loss than operating at anything that we're used to.
Yeah, of course.
So it's been a pretty supportive time. I mean, from March and on, I mean, we were constantly just all reaching out to each other. And a lot of times it was just like, when are you opening? What are you thinking? How do you do this?
That's what I was on Bowery Hotel all the time. Like, when's Gemma coming back up? I got to go,
And, it started to really come together around, I think, May, June, July. We started to really have conversations and preparing for it. And then it was just like that. I mean, it was like, all right, we're opening up Gemma in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, awesome. Leave it. But it was a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very emotional time.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all sort of like, is this the end of my career?
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend, one of my closest friends, who's in London now. He relocated back there. He was like, what do we do if this doesn't come back? There's no end in sight right now. Once we realized it wasn't going to be like a 2-week turnaround and we're all going to be fine, we were just like, well, what am I doing for the rest of my professional life?
Yeah. Does it mean anything?
I mean, people were getting let go. I mean, I was one of the few, I think, directors of sales and marketing in the industry that stayed on.
Wow.
A lot were on furlough or just laid off.
It's a testament to how amazing you are, man, and your energy.
Maybe
it is.
But I think our owner also just recognized the fact that, it's important to sort of have, and I can't speak for him. I'm not sure if this is exactly what his thought process was, but, ultimately we've done everything we could for the past couple of years in this hotel, and we're going to continue to do it. But also at the same time, it's like, when the doors open, it's important to make sure you have somebody inside to open them.
Yeah.
And sort of manage also the correspondence. I mean, while we were closed, we had guests calling us, reaching out to us, emailing us, asking us how we're doing.
Yeah.
We created a GoFundMe for our staff. I mean,
I saw that. I contributed.
Yeah. It was thank you.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you. There was a lot of work to still be done. I mean, running a hotel is one thing. Closing one down is a whole different ballgame. I mean,
there's a great statement. Yeah.
A lot that takes, there's a lot to do. So it was good to stay on and sort of, the general manager, myself, at the time, the director of events, who has since then changed industries, but like our director of engineering, director of housekeeping, like, we're all brainstorming constantly about, if we open tomorrow, how do we do it? Because at that moment, it was just one of those things where it wasn't really up to us to open the hotel. It wasn't necessarily even up to the owner. It was up to the state and the city and the federal government to sort of say,
the bureaucracy, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, because the hotels weren't necessarily forced to shut down. They were forced to shut down because they're not essential.
Yeah.
So it's one of those gray areas. We have residents in our hotel on the top couple floors.
Yeah. Were they able to stay? Or?
Yeah. I mean, we had them throughout. I mean, they have access. It's a residence, so they can come and go whenever they want. So it's important to make sure that certain things and amenities of the building are upkept. So, we were sort of custodians in a lot of ways, but during that time, it was definitely this overcast of what's next. And trying to stay positive through that was, I think, very important. We all sort of did our own way of doing it.
Yeah.
I sobered up for the first time in my life.
Nice.
I spent I think 2 months just not drinking, and then
man.
every Sunday for the Last Dance documentary. I
Okay.
practice per episode.
One of my friends who did the
Yeah,
show edited
yeah,
that and won the
yeah.
Emmy, so I'll have to tell
Well,
him.
when
Yeah,
we announced that the hotel was reopening, I was like, I gotta quote Jordan. I was like, so
that's
I was
so
like,
rad,
I'm
man.
back,
Yeah,
and that was really cool. It was really exciting to announce that. And, you know, it was important to sort of stay connected to people. I think, especially the guests, and keep updating them. You know, we had a few hotels. We had the Ludlow, the Malton, the Maritime, and we're all interconnected, talking to each other
do you
constantly.
oversee all of those or just the Bowery?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no, no,
okay.
no, no. I oversee. I mean, you know, we have the general manager. You know, there's myself. And, you know, we all oversee certain aspects of the hotel. The GM oversees all of us.
Yeah,
But you know, I work. You know, I work closely with the GM and the Maritime and the Marlton and the Ludlow, and I talk to them and, you know, support each other every weekend. And, you know, but we, you know, I no, but I only oversee the Bowery. Yeah, which is perfect. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
but so it's been, you know, there's a constant contact. There's, you know, look, we all talk to each other, and it's a very small industry. It really is.
yeah,
It became even smaller during the
yeah.
pandemic, though, for sure.
Well,
Still in the
so
pandemic.
so
Yeah.
was this where the photography project started being
Yeah.
born? The idea
So
for that?
it was that stupid article that came out about New York City is dead. Here's why.
That guy that Jerry Seinfeld was like, "You're a fucking idiot," and
Yeah,
posted it.
just
Yeah,
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 that
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
And you know,
Fuck
it's
that
like,
guy. I'm saying it here.
well, you know, it's like,
Yeah,
look, you have your opinion and it's fine, you know, but he was just wrong.
so
And
wrong.
the thing is, though, you know, working in hospitality downtown New York City, you know, downtown, not financial district, obviously, but working in the Bowery and being so close to the Soho restaurants and Nolita and NoHo and all, you know, Lower East Side, East Village. I mean, it's a big part of New York. And for people to be telling me that it's dead sort of pissed me off.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think we already had indoor dining. I think no, outside dining started already at the time.
Yeah, you had the little
And yeah,
cubby
and I had
holes. Yeah.
and I had Leica come by, and they did no inside dining was already happening because the Leica did a
Oh,
dinner.
okay.
Yeah, Leica did a dinner at the hotel, and you know, we were just all talking, and then I eventually approached the person I have a relationship with there and said, I have an idea, you know, and it sort of started with my buddy Julian, who he works at Carbone,
Oh, wow.
and I took a picture of him with the Q2, and I said, meet Julian on my Instagram account, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, huh, everyone's saying the city's dead. Only a few people who really know New York know that it's not, but
Yeah.
maybe I can shine a light on all these operations open.
Yeah.
Because, mind you, at that time, and still currently, a lot of restaurants are closed.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of restaurants are closed. A lot of hotels are closed. A lot of storefronts have been struggling. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I have this Leica.
Yeah.
Let me point it at them and take a picture, and then
Were you
introduce
good with
them.
the aperture and things like this already, or did you learn as
I
you
mean,
went?
I worked on the Q. I had the Q for what 2.5 years, I think.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with it, but then they Leica gave me this Q2, and I was like, what? So it was similar but different. So I learned how to use it, and it's not terribly complicated if you understand what each function is. But you know, I basically just thought if I can show some awareness
Yeah.
of all these places that are open and operational through COVID,
Yeah.
not necessarily because you know, it's no one's making money. Everyone right
Yeah.
now is just trying to lose less money, but also trying to keep their staff employed.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these places, hotels and restaurants that are operating, they're not doing it necessarily for the money. They're doing it because they want to employ their staff. They want to make sure they're
Yeah.
insured. They also want to make sure they stay relevant and they are
Yeah.
available to somebody who is coming to New York City. Because if you're not open, no one's going to come.
And there's no chance of redemption then, because in
Yeah.
6 months, no one's going to care. You know, people are
And
going to be the.
And I think a lot of it is, you know, I don't think relevance isn't the right word, but in retrospect, there is going to be this sort of like, oh yeah, they weren't open during that time,
Yeah.
you know? And that's sort of also not what my book is about, but it's certainly not highlighting the ones that are closed. It's highlighting the
Yeah.
ones that are open. And it really is focusing on restaurants and then some storefronts. And then I'm also focusing on some members of the entertainment industry
I was going to
because
say some people as well, right? You
yeah,
focus on different
yeah,
fixtures and
because a lot of, as you know, entertainment is a big part of New York City. It's also a big part of the city's taxes. I mean,
yeah.
there's tax credits that are given to production for shooting here. And, a lot of people want to start production as soon as possible, weren't able to, or then when they did start, they had issues with it. But essentially, all they wanted to do was to produce and direct and film and do the hair and makeup and work.
Yeah.
So I found it to be almost on the same level. Well, I should say this: it's definitely the same ballpark,
Yeah.
So I wanted to include them as well. So I definitely got Henry Alex Rubin, owner Tucal,
Yeah.
who I noticed, by the way, you interviewed. I forgot the woman's name, but she was on Banshee, and I think you interviewed
Trish
her.
Kelly Dunn.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
owner directed her in a movie. I think recently called
Sometime other than now.
The Misogynist.
Oh, The Misogynist. Okay. Yeah.
So that's owner. So I
Yeah.
interviewed owner.
Yeah.
And it really is just the three questions that I asked everybody, which is, what is New York City? What do you say to those that say it's dead? And how has your experience in New York City sort of changed your life? So everybody
Yeah.
is asked the same
It's
question.
such an amazing idea for a project, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it really blew me away, and you crushed it. It's
Yeah.
for everyone. Do you mind if I drop your
Yeah,
Instagram?
yeah.
Pope of the Bowery, check it out. I mean, dude, what's the plan? What can we do? How do we get a gallery showing of this? What is there?
I think right now, I've got about 21 subjects completed, shot, done, answered. I just finished Russ and Daughters, and I just shot one of our owners, Sean McPherson, of his restaurant, the Waverly Inn. I just shot him the other day.
Oh, awesome.
So those are going up soon. And, right now I'm talking to a publisher or two publishers about possibly working with me on this, or I'll self-publish. I'd rather not self-publish because this is my first project. I don't want to screw it up.
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing yet. Yeah,
I have an idea, but like,
well, I don't mean that to discredit you. I mean, the publishing world is so complicated.
Publishing is complicated because of the book aspect,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you can go through these publishing manufacturers online and spend $85 a book.
Yeah.
And, a publisher obviously has more sway with distribution. So, I'm just trying to figure that piece out. I mean, it really is just coming. There will be a Kickstarter.
Which I will promote on this podcast and have you back for.
Thank you. The Kickstarter, I'm probably going to put the Kickstarter together in March, maybe April. I'm going to be done shooting by April 30th is my schedule. I want the book to be available.
That's going to be the end of the project.
Yeah. The book.
Okay.
The end of at least book one. I'd like to get obviously as many places involved as possible, but the problem is, it's been also just so hard to get in touch with people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not around, they're not in state.
And you got a job and you can't be,
balancing the schedule has been very tough. I've never had a real day off, and now I really don't have a day off.
Yeah.
So it's, look, the Kickstarter is going to come out. I have a very good hopes about this publisher who I just spoke to. I'm not going to drop their name because they haven't agreed to anything yet.
No, yeah, knock on wood.
If it goes in that direction, I mean, Leica is going to distribute the book. They're going to sell some of them in their retail stores. I want this book to be not on Amazon. I don't want it to be on Barnes and Noble. I want it to be in New York City bookstores and maybe some LA bookstores. But the project will, there's going to be a Kickstarter. That money is going to be used to seed the project. Obviously, people on the Kickstarter will have an opportunity to donate or contribute to the fund, and they'll get a book or a print.
Yeah.
There will be a website that will allow you to purchase prints of, let's say, for example, you want to buy a print of Mario Carbone of Major Food Group.
Yeah.
It'll be dated, autographed, signed, whatever. And if that print costs, let's say, $100, there'll be a kickback to Major Food Group.
Oh man, that's amazing.
So for them to build up on their end, for them to donate on their own and or for their staff. So that'll be relevant to every single subject that I shoot. And from the retail sales of the book, hopefully there will be some.
No, there will be. We got to make
portion,
shirts. I'll wear it. Hope of the Bowery shirts.
Leo sold 4 books. But so, whatever retail sales are made, a portion of those proceeds will go towards a relief fund based on New York City employees that sort of suffered through the financial hardships. I haven't picked the fund yet. There's so many. I just need to sort of find the right one, and they'll be given write a check to them basically as a part of the proceeds. And just, I want, I have a career, I have a job. This is not necessarily, somebody asked me today, like, are you motivated by money? I'm like, who isn't? But this isn't that. I mean, like, this is for anybody who doesn't know, it's incredibly hard to have a lucrative photo book.
Yeah.
So it really is just about trying to give back to my community and my industry, and trying to support it with whatever means I can. I'm just a professional hotel person essentially, and if this helps, and it shows them recognition that they've been open, and it keeps them in the eyes of people in the press or in the photo book community or in the Leica community, if it just builds awareness of them trying to operate, that to me is a mitzvah. That's the way I sort of look at it. And, I'm nervous about the project. I've just come up with the title. It's my first book.
You're doing so great. It looks amazing. We're all in our heads, man. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, I love cinema. I try and shoot things in a cinematic way.
Yeah.
In a very sort of dramatic way, if I can.
I'm glad you said that. If you don't mind me asking, who were some influences on you,
Well, it's really, it's hard to say that there are a lot of photography influencers necessarily, because of so much of my influence comes from film. Because
that's fine.
It's not more like, Michael Muller, this is his.
Yeah.
He's been a great supporter. He's been giving me a lot of advice. I love his work. Everybody knows who he is. He's shot. I mean, you name a Marvel or a DC poster, he's probably done that picture.
Wow.
And he did a great book on sharks. But he's been a huge help and an influence, definitely, especially his black and white stuff. But for me, it's also been a lot of the cinematic stuff. I mean, I'm a big Godfather guy. I love the Godfather. So you'll see a lot of these photos.
Yeah, legendary. I love that. That's so rad.
I'm trying to. My handle is Pope at the Bowery. For anybody who's not aware, that stems from Pope at the Greenwich Village.
Yeah,
which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I try and look at things from an outside perspective. And when you walk by these storefronts or restaurants, obviously there's a piece where you want to sort of center it and have a sort of composition, but it's also really just about light. It's a lot of it just about light. And, I try and look at it as if this was a movie scene and I can capture a still.
That's exactly the vibe I get. Yeah.
That's sort of the way I'm looking at it is, if this could be a movie poster or if this was just a still of somebody, this would look pretty cool. But the most awkward thing for me is to give direction. I
back 2 steps to the left, smile left, shoulders back.
It's a disaster. It's a disaster. But it's like, I photographed our owner 2 days ago, and I was so nervous photographing
That's so
him.
Funny, man.
I'm like, he can fire me right now. I was like, maybe you can look over there and sort of think this, and but a lot of it has been, I have to say a lot of it is also the camera. I mean, the cameras that I'm using, I don't want to say they're forgiving, but I do want to say that they certainly have the mechanism built inside to capture the right moment at the right time. They're very fast. They're taking a lot of light. I mean, this is the Q, which I'm not using really anymore. I'm shooting right now mostly with the SL2 and the Q2.
Okay.
But at night, 6 p.m., just some street lights you have out there, you can take the Q2 at a 1.7 aperture, no flash unit, and get the picture.
Wow.
And it looks really cinematic, and you don't need a big flash unit. I mean, that's what I was using in the beginning. I didn't get the SL2 till later.
No way,
So,
man.
So like I shot Spiky Phil outside of the Freehand Hotel. That was just with the Q2. No flash, nothing. And
shout out Leica.
Yeah,
yeah,
Leica.
Yeah.
I mean, of course. I mean, they've been a huge supporter of this project, and you know, I want it to be successful because it means that the more successful it is, the more people will know about these places. That's sort of the way I look at it. You know, this could be a beginning to another maybe way for me to be creative.
Yeah,
man. I haven't felt creativity in a long time.
I can see your art up now at all the New York hotels. It's coming.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, it's also good for me to be as creative as possible. And if it means finding the right angle or making the edits the way I like, because I don't have presets. I have my own way that I like the pictures to look. But even just messing around with that makes me feel creative, and it makes me feel like I have some sort of level of input into this moment that I've captured, and it's fun. You know, it's a lot of fun. It's very stressful too, because you know, as you know, outside right now, it's snow everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
I've had to cancel
the dirty, gross snow too, not the cool snow.
You'll see, like I just shot Russ and Daughters. I mean, like I was like on top of a mountain of
that's
snow.
my hood. Next time, hit me up.
So it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. But you know, I will say nobody's not supported this idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant idea, man.
Everyone's been very supportive of it.
Thank you for coming on and talking about it. It means so much to me.
Thank you for letting me.
Yeah. Well, brother, 2 final questions for you.
Sure.
You know, actually, we got to hang out now. I have to say that, you know, it's my birthday next week. I haven't been to the Bowery since it closed, so I'll come by.
But definitely come by.
But dude, I if you don't mind, you know, for all those listening that are, you know, really interested in not only, you know, well, this is twofold then, I suppose, that are interested in, let's do hospitality first, people that, you know, want to get in the hotel business, any words of wisdom for them, and then same for photographers.
I love the hotel industry. I think that if you are looking, and people say this all the time, I want to be a citizen of the world, you know, it sounds cool. But the reality is, if you really want to be a citizen of the world, the best way to do that is to work in a New York City hotel.
Yeah,
because if you can work in a New York City hotel and you decide you're going to get up and move to Thailand, I guarantee you that Thailand hotel will hire you.
Yeah.
Because the chops that it takes to really make it in New York City hotel and the things that you learn just through osmosis will give you life lessons.
Yeah.
And also you'll just gain a lot of skills. But I think it's also important just to sort of recognize the fact that, you know, it's important to work in an establishment that you have some sort of input or say.
Yeah.
And focus on, you know, I believe I love independent boutique hotels. If you're just trying to break through the industry, that's what I would lean towards and applying towards those hotels, because I think you'll have a better chance of getting heard or even being taken seriously if you're applying and you have no relevant experience. You could be a professional that's you could be an accountant that says, I'm done, I want to be in hotels.
Yeah.
They can be like, what? You know,
how's that? Yeah.
But, you know, I think that if you look at the boutique hotels, the independents, you'll have a chance there. So I think that's something I'd recommend.
Beautiful, brother. And what about for photographers that are really interested in your aesthetic and what you've done? You know, any words of wisdom for those that can't afford a Leica yet, but are very interested in?
Put the iPhone down, and go and buy a discontinued camera.
Yeah.
If you can't afford one, just buy a discontinued one. I started off on a Nikon D100.
I remember. Yeah.
I paid $100 for that camera, and it was discontinued for I think a couple of years when I started. But essentially, you're not going to really understand photography until you're holding the camera in your hand.
Right.
And that really will teach you about how narrow your focus needs to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to lean into something as opposed to hold it out in front of your face. And if you really want to be a photographer, I'd recommend picking up any camera. Doesn't matter what kind it is, as long as it's in your hand and it's physical, and you could really line up and see how the light changes things, as opposed to just hitting a dot on your phone.
Point and shoot. Yeah.
Get a camera. Get an old digital SLR. Get a 50mm lens. It's not expensive, and just start from there. And you'd be surprised how quickly you'll be inspired.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. I love that. That's such beautiful advice. And final question, you know, man, it's been such a tough year, you know, that we've talked about it on the podcast. What's kept you inspired? How did you not cave to despair?
When the pandemic started, I said to myself, I need to come out of this better than I did going in.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really focused on that. I mean, I really did. I mean, I changed a lot. I mean, I cut my alcohol intake significantly, dropped 20 pounds.
Amazing.
You know, my personal life has blossomed. I'm engaged, you know.
Congratulations, Leo. That's amazing.
Thank you. And, you know, professionally, my bond with the Bowery has only gotten stronger, as you can see.
Yeah.
But, you know, it also allowed me to sort of, you know, I look, luck is a big part of it, I think, in a lot of ways. But I think that, you know, somebody once told me you have to be in the right place to be able to redeem that luck.
Yeah.
You know, but I think you have to just have a steady mind. You know, for me, it was important to say that when this is over, I cannot be worse than I was going in.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, going in, I wasn't a mess, obviously, but I definitely lived in some sort of excess in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So that was really it. I stayed focused. I mean, I stayed focused on moving forward and curbing my bad, I guess not bad mistakes, but the things that sort of derailed me.
Making a conscious effort to be better.
Yeah. And a lot of that was reading, a lot of self-improvement, some self-therapy, some, you know, not drinking definitely certain helps. It gives you a lot of clarity. And, you know, also, you know, once you get into that momentum, it's hard to go backwards.
Yeah.
You know, once you recognize that things are really in a lot of levels your own control, it's hard to let go of that control.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, screw it. You know. I will say this, when it started, I said to myself, no more halal guys, no more fast Chinese food, and no more street pizza.
The street slice. That's amazing.
Done.
I love that.
So, well, you know, it's been good. It's been good. Yeah.
Well, Leo Jacob, man, you know, I know we're just kind of meeting in person, but I'm fucking proud of you, dude, man.
Thanks,
I'm so excited for all that's to come for you. And let's do this again when the book's out. And I'm going to come see you next week at the hotel.
Come by, man. We'll hang out.
All right, dude. I got so much love for you, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
I am thrilled to announce that An Actor Despairs is partnering with a wonderful CBD company called Kind Farms. Everyone out there has heard of CBD. I started taking it a few years ago when I first started getting sober and to help with my anxiety. Sadly, as one can do, I was overtraining in the gym, and a friend recommended a topical and a tincture to help with the pain. I tried it. It was okay. However, recently, I was introduced to a product that has really changed my life. Not only has it helped me with anxiety, but I am stronger than I have ever been. I'm able to carry out lifts my body used to prevent me from doing. Kind Farm products have single-handedly changed my life athletically and personally. They utilize 100% local licensed farmers, organic cultivation, and CO2 extraction for superior CBD. Kind Farms is turning CBD to a kind alternative to pharmaceuticals. Let's transform Tobacco Row into Hemp Row. If you want to get involved, please reach out. Together, we can make a difference. You can use my code RYAN10 for 10% off. You can find them on Instagram at Kind Farms Inc., all one word. That's KINDPHARMSINC, and their website is kindfarmsinc.com. Once again, my code for 10% off is Ryan.